Hi, everybody, and welcome to the SA Rugby magazine. I'm the money man. I got Gavin and Rich Pickings. Gav, all I can say is this year we ran the board on rugby. I think the only thing we got wrong all year was a handicap against Argentina in the second test match.
Yeah.
But I think other than that, you're 13 out of 14. I'm 12 out of 13 with the handicap, which means that, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
And again, we're going to chat on the upcoming game this weekend, which I don't want to witness as a Welshman. It's not in our best interest to play it.
No.
We got 13 to 15 guys not playing for Wales. Mm-hmm. Not that matters because we don't have 13 to 15 good players. Last week, South Africa, anybody has a question who the best team in the world is, and I've said this with you all year long, that we are so far ahead of the curve in terms of their ability that even now I think even the most critical Bok person would have to jump on that bandwagon.
I think that last week's game was one of the biggest statements of all, in the sense that it was almost like the Boks going back to their old Boks.
Yeah.
They just wanted to suffocate, they just wanted to beat them up physically.
Yeah.
I think that we spoke last week about how the Springboks might still have been smarting from that game in Durban last year, where in the first half Ireland were very physical, and I think that they almost overdid it. They almost overdid it last week.
Well, Ireland didn't have anything to offer in the physicality stakes,
Yeah.
and they were absolutely. I've never seen a team. The last team I saw dominated that badly was a team I played against that only had 12 guys rock up on Saturday, and we absolutely killed them. There was 6 cards. It could have been 10.
Yeah.
There was a clear mandate from the referee. I can't send any more guys off.
No, I get
but
it.
I've never heard a referee tell people to speed up the scrum. I mean, so you put the ball in, then you get to dominate, and you shouldn't have to rush through that. It could have been easily another 4 cards, if not for some dynamic heroicism from Ireland in terms of getting the ball, snatching some loose ball on defending the try line. It could have been a 50-point game. Such was the dominance.
I think there were 2 aspects to that. I think that the Ireland were very tenacious. Ireland don't throw in the towel. We were talking earlier and we were saying,
but if it was a fight,
if it was a boxing fight, then the referee would have ended it. It would have been one of those where the home coach, or what do they call him in box, a home trainer, errs and ends up almost like with his boxer dying. It was that bad. I mean, it was just. But there were 2 aspects to it. Firstly, Carly, I think, was under pressure.
Yeah.
Because so there was a lot of cynical infringing from Ireland in the red zone, like just meters from their line. I mean, the Springboks were camped there for days. I mean, it felt like days. In that third quarter, I don't think that
it was a painful game to watch because of the reset after reset.
I don't think Ireland could get out of that area. It was like the siege of Ladysmith. I mean, they were just basically under siege, like meters from their line for as I say, it felt like weeks at a time. And I think that the referee by then was under pressure not to give any more cards. So that was the problem.
They had 3 guys off. So it's unprecedented. I've never seen 4 guys being sent off in my life.
So at one stage it gets completely beyond your control.
Yeah.
You almost have to sort of call the game off, like you wouldn't boxing. So I think that was the problem, and that played a role in Ireland winning the second half 6-5. Was because did they win the second half? Yeah, it was 6-5. They scored 6 points. They kicked 2 penalties in the second half, and the Springboks scored 1 try through Sasha.
Yeah.
So that played that role. But then I think the other aspect was that
Sasha's try not converted.
No.
Really?
So we go. His kicking wasn't that great last week.
No.
So then we go back to the game against Australia in Johannesburg, where South Africa overplayed, in the sense that they tried to run too much. In this game, they overplayed as well.
They shot their bolt in that game.
Yes, but in this game they did a similar thing, except this time it was in the forwards.
Yeah.
They just kept on going in the forwards. If they had actually sort of played a more inclusive game, they probably would have won that game by 30 points.
I'm glad they didn't, because I'd back Ireland by plus 14.5, and I can tell you at halftime I thought that bet was going nowhere.
Okay,
I thought that bet was going to be double. Well, I think we were down, but we were up by 11 at that stage, and I just thought,
I think I said last week that it would be 8.
Yeah, I said 5.
8. Yeah,
which was even money. You said 8, which was about 1.3.
Yeah,
and 2.3. Sorry, and look, it
But eight is always a code. Eight is always code for saying it'll be more than a score.
Is that code? You must give me
code,
a wink then.
Code for saying more than a score.
So there can be no doubt in the world from anybody who's watched rugby this year that the team of the year has to be South Africa.
Yeah.
By a long mark.
Yeah.
That nobody else is close to South Africa.
No.
And you know what amazed me, Gavin? I'm sorry, as a Welshman.
I know what you.
I opened the paper after the game on Monday, and then I read, the best front three in the world are English. And I just thought, is it fucking Halloween? Is it April Fool's? No, it's not April. It's November. What is this guy writing about?
Yeah.
Did he not just see the dismantling of Ireland?
Yeah.
To the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen in my life. And he's writing about the front three. As a sports journalist, you got an obligation to write sensible stuff.
I can't remember who wrote that story. I think I saw it in the Times. I think that it was based on them not conceding as many penalties as any other team. But that's not what you can't decide scrum dominance just on that. I mean, there's so many different technical areas of scrumming.
Yeah, and then some Irish punter argued you got to get people to feed the scrum right because you got two South African guys at 245 pounds running around the field that can't do anything else other than scrum, and it's like, well.
That's not true anyway.
No, it's not true. I mean,
it's not true. The big guys have got incredible skills these days.
This is how, as a rugby player, I used to look at it. What two guys will I want to go into what three guys would I go into the alley with? Yeah. I guarantee you I'm picking the South African guys.
Yeah. No, well, Thomas du Toit, who starts for the Boks, but probably isn't their best prop. Tight head, it's Wilco. Because the way the South African game works, the finishers are sometimes more important than the starters. But Thomas du Toit keeps Will Stewart out of the Bath team, and he's like seen as a giant in an England club game. So that sort of sums it up, really. I mean, the Springboks are. You talk about the Springboks being significantly ahead of the rest of the world as a team. They're also significantly ahead of the world just in that particular area of the game. Malcolm Marx winning the World Player of the Year was a great choice, but it would have been nice. I mean, the romantic side of me would like to have seen Ox win it, but he wasn't on the tour. So I think if Ox had been on tour, he might well have won it. And that's what people are forgetting. Actually, that's what people are forgetting is that South Africa's dominance in this tour was achieved without Ox and Cher, and also without Jan-Hendrik Wessels, who I think is an important part.
As importantly, Gav, it was achieved without Malherbe. Without Kitzel. We've gone through a refurbishment of that team.
No, exactly, and they haven't skipped a beat. They haven't skipped a beat.
No.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, France. I don't know if France is going to play. France Malherbe will play again, but he's still on the Stormers' books. So you could still say that he's an injured player that the Boks could have drawn on. And there are others, and Tutuku Machunu, who's going to play for the Boks hopefully against Wales and Cardiff this weekend. Who's just come from the Stormers from the Sharks, and John Dobson talks about him as being a beast. He's a very good player as well. So we've got this, and they've got young Vernon Matongo who can't play for the Boks at the moment because he's not yet qualified because he's still got a Zimbabwean passport or he hasn't got a South African passport. There's just so much strength and depth coming through in South Africa in those positions, and anybody can sort of look anywhere other than South Africa when you're looking at the top front row in the world is just laughable.
But people keep asking me what's wrong with Wales. What's wrong with various teams? I mean, England, you're probably seeing them close to their best, and they're still nowhere near South Africa.
Yeah, they're growing though. They are growing.
But they're not going to get to South Africa. They're never going to get to that sort of growth.
I agree with you. I think. I know this is the thing. I mean, this is if we were like taking a long-term bet. I think because people keep saying this is a generational age and we must enjoy it because South Africa and sport goes in cycles. I think, and it's for reasons that we've spoken about before, I think that South Africa are going to become systemic, are going to become consistently dominant in world rugby.
Of course they will.
And the reason for that is just because we're now in a situation where all the race groups in South Africa are playing rugby.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to play rugby in South Africa, whereas in places like New Zealand, we're talking about that woke aspect.
Yeah.
Where
there you go. The woke aspect. The last time I was in Wales, I went to pick up my two nieces at their school. I walked in, took the camera out. I was almost tackled by 4 liberal parents.
Oh, really?
Jokingly, I mean, because but they were so offended. I took out the camera to take a picture of my nieces. What are you doing? What do you mean? Fuck off. I'm just taking a picture. No, you can't take a picture on school ground. What? You can't take a picture of your nieces. You might get somebody else in it. And the parents haven't given you permission. I said, holy fuck. So I wasn't allowed to take a picture of my nieces.
Okay.
Because I might get someone else in the background, and that might go on to. I mean, that's where Wales is. So when I speak to you, I spoke at the beginning of the year about this, and I said that what's wrong with Wales? It's woke. It's a woke country. So we may get a bastion of some good players, like you do in the ebb and flow of rugby. You might get more talent at some stage, less talent at another stage.
In the 70s,
and that's okay. That happens. But you're never going to get
consistent.
You're never going to get Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
You're never going to have 14 teams lined up each Sunday or each Saturday playing out there. You know, it's transgendered this. You know, it's people are confused about gender identity. People are allowing their children to make their gender decision when they're 2 and 3. Now, my son thought he was Batman at 2 and 3, and wanted to fight crime. I didn't send him off to a cave and say, you know, pick it, choose it. I know you want to be Batman, so okay.
Yeah.
I told him, you know, it's great, and we talked to them. My daughter wanted to be a cat at one stage. Okay. We talked her through that.
Okay.
You know, but she's not a furry. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
She meowed like a mofo, but you know, we talked her out of that stuff.
Yeah.
And in the UK, you have all these people and all these. It's the woke culture. It's a woke culture in New Zealand. It's a woke culture in Australia. And I see that, you know, we talk. Someone said history could repeat itself. Could be England versus Wales. England versus Australia in the finals of the Australian World Cup that's coming up. But
I don't know where they get that from.
No. That's never going to happen.
When did they write that? Where were Australia then? Because Australia have fallen off the planet since in the last month or so.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, ever since, you know, the start of Australia, the demise came from woke. What was her name? Rolene.
I can't remember.
Castle.
He was in charge of rugby there for a while.
The CEO that banned Israel Folau.
Yeah, remember that. Yeah.
All because the Qantas guy was gay, and I mean,
yeah. And I do remember that. Yeah.
So you know, you want to look at anyway. I'm just saying that there's a world woke culture that exists that people don't recognize, takes away from rugby and what rugby instills.
And in South Africa, everybody loves rugby, and they'll play. And you want your kids to look at the schools. Yeah. I mean, we've got these schools in this country where they choose headmasters on their attitude to rugby. I mean, that's the big difference. You won't get that overseas, I don't think. I mean, I know schools where, you know, headmasters have been removed in my own old school, where, you know, I thought perfectly good headmasters were removed because they weren't prioritizing rugby enough.
Yeah.
And then I had a headmaster who left my old school in Durban, Northwood, and came down here because he wanted to be in charge of the best school in the country, and that's what he's doing now. I think it's Paul Gymnasium.
Well, you know, the thing is that I've not. We should go out to Paul next year and just capture that day, and just and build it up from a team point of view and show what people are up against that they don't understand.
That's it. I don't know if I mentioned it to you. I mean, Matt Proudfoot, the former England coach, assistant. Yeah, we were out. He told me about how he was driving out somewhere and he just saw these incredible specimens, rugby specimens, and you know, and England just doesn't have that. I mean, we're talking about people on the farm, like farm school. Yeah. It's so that's what I think South Africa's going to. I think because we took a while to get to after isolation and the end of apartheid and all that. I think that's what Rassie did. It took a while to get everybody on the same page and bring the country together. Now the country is together, and we've got lots of players.
You know, it's like if we appointed a white captain now, just saying it's not going to happen. But if we did, no one would bat an eyelid. Yeah. If we picked a team with more white guys than black guys, no one would care. It's like Rassie's done a great job of saying this is the talent we have. This is what we're going to use it for. You know, he's completely disbanded any racial tensions and inequalities with rugby. And whereas before we did have what we called token quota players.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's none of that anymore. Yeah, everybody's there on his merit. The Sasha Feinbergs, the Sia Khaleesi's, the
No, there's no Oxenshire.
Yeah,
I mean a very good example.
So that inclusion,
Beast going back.
You said right. The whole country, the race of the country, is behind the Springboks.
Yeah.
You're finding people that grew up cheering for the All Blacks in the closet, which makes the whole thing about us not playing the All Blacks in Cape Town moot, as far as I'm concerned. Everybody loves a winner, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
God loves a trier, but he prefers a winner.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, so let's get into Wales versus the Springboks.
I don't think the game should be happening in the first place. I think this is a day where the South African ecosystem should come first, because we will probably talk about URC just now, but the Stormers are playing Munster and the Sharks are in Connacht, and there's a reason why there's an international rugby. We've got an international window, and we need to start observing the international. Yeah, I'll talk about the other one as well, but it's time that we did observe the international one. I can understand, Kevin, why we have games outside of the international at the start of the season. This year we played Barbarians outside the international window, and we also last year we played against Wales in London, you'll remember. You play those games because we've got so many Japanese players who play for the Springboks, and they need to get up to speed before you start playing your So next year the Springboks are going to have to organise a game outside of the international window, because we go into the Nations Cup next year where you play against England. I think they're playing Scotland here. You need to actually be
playing Wales, Scotland, and England. Huh?
You need to be here in South Africa. So you need to be ready for those games. So they'll probably end up organising a game against somebody before that. So that's okay. But at the end of the season, when they've conquered the world and they've conquered everybody, and then you come up against a Welsh team that's without players because that are overseas based because of the international window. To me, it just makes no sense. I don't know obviously there's a money aspect, but
I guarantee you that it won't be a full stadium. I was there last year. It was the last time I was in London. It was a storm hit, and I was on the train standing up for 2 hours. I had a business ticket. It was the most depressing. I went through Wales. Nobody was gearing up for the game, and I think this. I'm not sure if this was outside the window or not, but
and they normally are.
It was a horrific game.
Yeah.
South Africa put Wales to the sword.
43-12, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was, but that wasn't. It was 43-12, and it should have been more. It was one of those, and it'll be a similar thing this week.
Look, there was a stage where we beat South Africa, and I think it was about 4 or 5 in a row. 4 in a row.
Yes, you did.
And it was the last game was against Coetzee, and you'd lost to Italy on that tour.
Yeah.
I didn't celebrate as a Welshman. It was like, this is not the Bok team that I know.
I was actually I was on my way home. I was on my way back to London. I covered the game, and then I got in the train straight after the game, and I was in a queue to go to the station. And I'll never forget the Welsh people standing in the queue that night, because at the Millennium Stadium or Principality Stadium, whatever they call it now, the Cardiff station is right next door. So you walk out the stadium and you go. In fact, everything. Cardiff's the greatest place in the world to go to watch rugby because of the stadium's situation right in the middle of the city.
No, it hasn't been a great experience for me because I've gone to watch South Africa. So I was in Portugal last year, had a great trip, saw a beautiful woman, and then I had to go to London. Oh my God. It was like every time you took a breath in, it cost you $100,000. It's like, so you're slow breathing, trying to get through it all. It was the worst trip I've had. And then I got to Wales, met one of my shareholders, met Scotty Gibbs, and it wasn't a good trip. Scotty was in a foul mood, as he often can be.
Because of the Welsh losing? Or
no, just because of the whole state of the whole state of what it means to be Welsh anymore. We've lost that identity. Anyway, so Wales isn't the place that I grew up watching international rugby. Things that don't shut down. Things aren't buoyant on a Thursday night.
I haven't been there since that Alistair Coetzee trip. But the people in the queue that night were talking about how poor South Africa were, and they weren't celebrating. It was a 20-point win, that game, that one you're talking about. Alistair Coetzee was the coach, and Wales won by 20 points. I think Alistair had mixed up his selections because he decided that he didn't want to carry on with the first choice guys who had lost to Italy the week before. Elton Jantjies was at fly half, and there were a number of quite left field selections. But the South Africans were outplayed, and I'll never forget standing in that queue and how depressing it was to listen to the Welsh people talking like what's the word I'm looking for when you sort of almost paternalistic? Anyway, when you look down at somebody, but you're sort of trying to be nice. That's what they were doing. They're talking about, well, this Boks team, like they felt sorry for the Boks, and so every time the Springboks do beat Wales now, I quite enjoy it just from that point of view
because the balances have been reversed.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was.
Yeah.
You guys were losing with a team that wasn't South African, as far as
Yeah.
I was concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, I've grown up knowing rugby for a long time, so I didn't celebrate when we beat you by 20 points, and I won't celebrate Wales losing to South Africa when we shouldn't be playing the game. Let's be honest about Welsh rugby. We've played, I think, we've lost 19 games or 20-something games. We've won 2 since that female CEO's been there. I don't know if she's still there. I haven't kept up with Welsh rugby. Scott will be able to tell me.
Well, they celebrated a win over Japan.
Who's the only team we've beaten in the last 2 years?
Is Japan.
Exactly.
Is Japan.
So we got a win away and a win at home, 1 point win, and that's supposed to, that's
actually what so it would be laughable if it wasn't so sad, because I think the world does need Welsh rugby to be strong.
We will, and we'll probably recycle some players, and we'll get to it's not difficult to get into the top 10 in rugby.
There was it can turn. I mean, just seeing we building up to a game where I think that the Springboks should win by a significant score. I remember Nick Mallett's team in 1998 scoring 96 points.
Yeah, I remember that was my wedding day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was not. I was there at Loftus. Nakadrowski knocked the ball on.
Yeah, it could have been 100.
It could have been 100.
I know.
The next time we played Wales was at Wembley.
Yeah.
Later that same year, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we nearly lost the game. In fact, a streaker came onto the game halfway through the game and saved Springboks, because the whole game was against him. And then this naked guy came onto the field, and the security guards took a long time to catch him. And I think that the Boks caught their breath and then regrouped. And then the following time was actually with the Boks lost. Was the first time they ever lost to Wales. So it can turn. It's not going to turn against South Africa, because, as I said, South Africa. But it could turn, and Wales might end up doing one in the Six Nations again. Not now, but sometime in the future. But they've got so many structural problems that they obviously need to sort out. Yeah. And what you're talking about is the change of the Welsh side. Is it right for me to say? I remember. There's no Welsh teams in the English Premiership anymore. I'm talking about the round ball game. But there was a time when both Cardiff and Swansea were there.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody telling me...
That had a huge impact on development and growth. Most people want to play soccer.
That football had suddenly become more significant mainstream because of those two teams. Yeah. Because I remember I think with Swansea, I quite enjoyed their style of football at one stage.
Well, rugby is a hard sport, right? It's a gentleman's game played by hooligans.
Yeah.
The point is, it's a hard man's game. Mm-hmm. What is happening for a lot of men in this world is they're called toxic masculinity. Mm. This whole strong man manna is like being done away with these radical feminists. Yeah. So it's like not perceived to be cool to be playing rugby, whereas when I grew up, it was.
It was, yeah. Well, it's cool to go to war probably at some stage as well.
Exactly. So it's like we're living in a world that, like I said, that it's easy to see why South Africa is going to dominate, because they're not woke.
Yeah.
And people might think that, shut up, man. Just stop harping on about this.
It's part of our whole culture. It's part of
the world culture that's changed.
The South African heritage is rugby, whereas, Yeah. And it should be in Wales. I mean, if you look back at the great players of the past, but it's changed. And as I say, Swansea and Cardiff being in the Premier League in the round ball game, I think changed a lot of things.
Yeah. And massive growth.
Not that they're there anymore. Yeah.
No, but you live in hope.
Yeah.
So let's get into the ERC this weekend. We've got
ERC. We're going to doing the
URC. Sorry, I'm so sorry. What am I saying?
ERC. Isn't ERC wrestling or something? Well,
no, ERC. I don't know what it is. Anyway, URC. I'm sorry.
ERC. Okay, no problem.
I shut my bowl. Stormers versus Munster.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the Stormers are without Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu, Damian Willems, Kobus Reinach, Ben Jason Dixon. Yeah. And then there's two others as well. Nchunu and Zach Porthen. No, exactly. Well, Wilco is still at the Bulls. But
is he still at the Bulls?
Yeah, he's still at the Bulls for the rest of the season.
Oh.
So they without all those players.
Okay.
Those players playing, if they were playing against Munster, then I would say the Stormers were going to win that game. I would be very confident that the Stormers would win, but none of them are playing. The one thing in the Stormers' favour is that they've known that since the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So John Dobson's been able to train with the players that will be playing on Saturday in Limerick. So from that point of view, that's an advantage to the Stormers. And also, if some of the Munster players are playing, the ones that played against Ireland last week, they might be quite hit up because they took a pummeling. I mean, I know Jack Crowley, for instance, probably slated to play, and there's a couple of other guys there that played last week.
The Stormers are underdogs by 8.5 points.
8.5, okay.
And, it's a tough thing to bet on because I'll tell you what, the Stormers haven't given up more. Their average is 8 points, 7.9 something points per game, 7.8 points a game. They've been giving less than 8 points a game. They're 5-0. They've given up 39 points in 5 games.
I wouldn't. The thing is about the Stormers as well is that they have built up their depth. I mean, So there's a very impressive depth that's come through there. And okay, so I'm just trying to think of because Damian Willemse isn't playing. Wandisile Semelani will probably play at fullback. He actually did quite well in those early season games. Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu isn't playing, but Yuri Matia is actually built for Northern Hemisphere conditions, and apparently it's going to be a wet weather game. Yeah. And if it's going to be a wet weather game, then Yuri Matia is a guy I would go to war with. Because he's a good tactician. You remember the Bulls being beaten by the Stormers last year at Loftus in a wet weather game with Matia at flower half. So from that viewpoint, and particularly if it's wet, then it's a difficult game to bet on because the Stormers. Okay, so they're going to be missing Ben Jason Dixon, but then, Russie isn't perfect with his selections. There's one player that I think should be a Bok who doesn't play for the Boks, which is Evan Roos. So I'm assuming he'll be at number 8 for the Boks. Salman Marat and whether it's Schikkeling or Ardre Smith or Ruben van Heerden, they've got quality depth at locks. Their front row, even without Nchunu and without Porthen. In fact, Porthen isn't a first choice player at the Stormers anyway. So if you've got Nedling for She back at tight head, you've got good hookers in JJ Kutza and Andre Hugo Venter. Venter isn't far away from being, he is a Bok, but he's not far away from the Bok team. And then you've got Vernon Matongo and Ollie Kebble, I think, might be getting a game at some point. He's played for Scotland. So, and Ali Famark, of course, is a very useful loose head when it comes to scrummaging as well. So, and then so you haven't got Damian Willemse at the back, but if you do have Dan du Plessis, I'm not sure if he's playing or not. I hear Johnny Roach is back. I mean, if you look through that team, the Stormers actually have a lot of very decent players still available to them, and they've built up together over a period of 5 weeks now since, they had 2 weeks off, but the last 3 weeks they've been training just for this game. So I would say that 8.5 points could be right, but I still wouldn't bet my house on that.
The Munster have beaten the Stormers 4 out of 5 times they've played.
They have, but the last time the Stormers played them, they got the monkey off their backs.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it was here in Cape Town, but they got the monkey off the backs now, and the Stormers have actually done quite. I mean, they should have won that final here in Cape Town.
Yeah. Look, I would put them.
They've conspired against themselves often against Munster. And there's one other game when they played at Munster, and I think they might have lost by about 9 points, but the Stormers dominated the game. They just didn't get across the line. And the Stormers have also grown.
Yeah, they have.
In terms of being able to play overseas. So, but I wouldn't bet on the Stormers win. Let's put it that way.
No, I'm. If you're going to bet, take Munster in an accumulator, part of an accumulator, 1.24 or something like that.
If it was,
I think Munster
if the Boks were playing, if those Boks were playing, I would be betting on the Stormers.
Yeah. But they're not playing, and I'd take Munster, and I'd take them +5.
Yeah.
Plus 5, you'd probably get about 1.5 and put them in an accumulator.
I'd say that's good. I don't think Munster are going to run away. They've been really good. I can't remember his name. They've got the guy who used to coach the Chiefs, coaching them at the moment, and they've completely like had a complete renaissance. But I just don't think you can write the Stormers off at the moment, because they've just been that good this season. They've hardly given away any points in any of their games.
Yeah, it's a great test for them, actually.
Yeah,
and in Dubbo I trust. He's a hard man to bet against.
Yeah,
but so then we've got the Lions we've got the Bulls versus the Lions. What are your thoughts on that game?
So
at home, the Bulls are at home, I think.
Okay, but the Bulls will be with... Yes, they are, but they're going to be... Okay, there's one thing. The Lions do raise their game for the Bulls. They're going
to need to.
They've been some very good, close games there. But the one thing that's counting against the Bulls is that, look, I can't go through them straight off the tip of my tongue, but the Bulls will be missing far more Springboks than the Lions. The Lions only have 2 Springboks missing, Morne van den Berg, the scrum half, and the big prop, Asanati. Those 2 guys are missing from the Lions, whereas the Bulls should be without Wilco Low, without Johan Grobelaar, obviously the suspended Jan Hendrik Wessels, Kanan Moody, Andre Pollard. I mean, the list.
Do you not think Pollard's playing? He's on the bench, isn't he?
For who?
For the Bulls.
Isn't he at the Boks? Has he come home?
I think he's come home.
Oh, I didn't actually know that.
You should know this stuff, but
I should know that. I didn't know that. I haven't been told that. Is he really come back?
Well, it's a game out of the schedule.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he be back?
Because none of the others are. No, because it's out of the schedule, but he's now South African. He's now South African qualified. I mean, if you're playing for a South African province, then the Boks can draw on you. That's the point. So, have you really heard that Pollard's back?
I heard he was back, but who knows?
Okay. No, because I would imagine that Pollard could have a chance of playing this week, actually.
Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe it's Champions. Maybe it's the Investec Champions Cup he's been called back for.
Yeah, the Champions Cup's the following week.
Yeah.
No, Pollard, because there's 24. Okay, so you say I should know this, but the Boks haven't made any announcements this week on who they've released. All we know is that they've got 25 players there, and we know that Grant Williams has gone back to the Sharks. And Edwin van der Merwe had to come home for childbirth, and so he's playing for the Sharks in Connacht on Saturday as well. So when it comes to Pollard, if he was playing for the Bulls tomorrow, I'd be very surprised. But they'll definitely be Kane and Moody. Willie Leroux, of course, isn't a Bok. Well, he hasn't toured with the Boks, so Willie Leroux will be playing. But the Bulls have so much depth, though. So I would. Kevin, that's actually a really good, difficult game to call, because the Lions are often good in the Highveld derby.
Yeah, and it's what is the odds?
What are the odds?
The odds are about 13.5 points.
That the Bulls will win by?
Yeah.
No. I don't see that.
Okay.
I don't see that.
There you go, folks.
I don't see that. I don't see that.
I'm going to take a wait and see approach this week.
You can take a wait and see approach, but I don't think the Bulls are going to win by as much as that. Not without their Boks, and not against a Lions team that has been probably. I mean, they've been in trouble this season, so they're going to really be putting a lot into this game. I mean, the Bulls might win, but I can't see them winning by. I can't see them winning by more than 10 points. Well.
This is what I don't get about.
Might even be 8. Might even be less than that. I think it's going to be a close game. And if the Lions did win, it wouldn't completely surprise me. Okay. It's being played. Am I right in saying it's being played 2:00 in the afternoon in the Highveld? So there's that to be taken into account as well.
You are right.
So there's all that, like that tempo. The Lions play with a lot of tempo, which might make it. Well, the Bulls also have tried to play tempo in the past as well. It's a difficult one to predict, but I think that betting on the Bulls to win, but by a lot less than what the bookies are saying.
Okay, I hear you.
In fact, a last gasp penalty, I think won it last year or the year before.
I think when you look at the last URC games, Bulls by 12, Bulls by 13.
And they did win well last year. That is true.
They did.
They did win well last year, but those were full strength games.
Yeah. In fact, it's like the Lions last beat the Bulls in URC in 2023. And that was at Loftus as well.
Yeah. And then I think when they lost by a very small margin as well.
Well, yeah, it's
close. They've generally been close games. I forgot last year the Bulls did have the Lions' number, But let's also not forget that the Bulls have a new coach now, so it's a new system. I do think that Johan Ackerman's a very good coach, but I think it's going to take a while for them to bed down. I mean, the Bulls have disappointed me a bit so far this season.
They have.
They haven't really.
They're flattered to deceive.
Yeah, so I think last year, like you look when the Bulls against the Lions with Jake as a coach, they were a settled team. They might have been very unhappy with their coach, obviously, because they eventually got rid of him. But they were probably in their pomp last season when they beat the Lions. I'm not sure. I think a lot of people will be going for a big Bulls win, but I'd hedge my bets for that game.
I wouldn't touch that one. I'm not interested in that. Not until the players get back and it's a bit of consistency. Then you got Connacht versus the Sharks. The Sharks, you talk a team that's flattered to deceive. A lot of pressure on the Sharks to perform, but I'm not sure they will.
It's a huge game for the Sharks because since they last played, they've had the announcement that the coach won't be carrying on next year. I've heard, although apparently it hasn't happened yet, that there were going to be a couple of changes made to the management team. I heard the attack coach was on Skid Row, but so far, and I mean I heard that from a very good source. But as far as I know, that hasn't happened yet. My sources in Durban tell me that they don't know about that. So there's been a lot of upheaval at the Sharks behind the scenes. I think that there's a few things happening behind the scenes that I know about that. Yeah, might come to light in time, but I think, and then they're playing against a Connacht team that's difficult to read at the moment because they've got a new coach in Stuart Lancaster.
Yeah.
But you remember there was that storm. I can't remember what it was. There was a big storm that went through Europe, and there was a couple of games that were cancelled one weekend or postponed. And Connacht was one of those teams. So they've only played 4 games. So they're 12th in the log at the moment. But that's off a smaller sample size than the other teams who have played 5 games. I think they've played 4 and won 2. So Connacht are difficult to predict. They will have. They don't have Mac Hansen, the fullback.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, I hear the Ireland commentators last week described as the best fullback in the world, which is laughable. So they don't. So they won't have Mac Hansen, but they do have Finlay Beerlam, and they have the centre. What's his name again? Bundy Archie apparently is available to play, and there's one other Irish international player. I can't off the top of my head remember who, but they are quite significant players. So those guys are back. The Sharks will have Grant Williams back. Lukhanyo Am never toured, so he's still playing for them. Makazole Mapimpi will be over his suspension. It could be a close game, but I'm not sure I'd bet on the Sharks. It's hard to bet on the Sharks at the moment.
Connacht are 1.3 favourites.
I think that's about right.
They're about 8.5 point favourites in the game.
It will be a close game, and I think that Connacht will win.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Look, I'm not going to get into the URC right now.
Yeah.
On any great
next week we'll have.
Yeah, next week we'll have a bit more into the Cup Championships.
Champions Cup. Yeah,
and we'll have more opinions on that. But Gav, thanks for coming in. Always a pleasure to have your opinion. And we'll speak next week. Yeah,
Thank
We've got a couple more weeks before we're off for Christmas.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Thanks, bud.
Cheers. Thank you.